This is Candid Campus, Profiles in Higher Education, presented jointly by the Higher Education Alumni Council of Oklahoma and the Oklahoma College Public Relations Association. The discussion today is on computerizing technical education. Your host is Dr. William Banowski, President, University of Oklahoma.
Hello and welcome to another segment of Candid Campus. We're glad to have you with us today. This is the program that shows you all of the details about your great system of higher education in the state of Oklahoma, both the public and the private colleges and universities. Today's topic is a challenging one, computerizing technical education. I hope that won't frighten you away, because we've got a couple of experts here going to help all of us understand about all these computers, all of the technology and the new discoveries that are being used in business and industry and science and in education. We're pleased to have from Oklahoma State University School of Technical Training at Okmulgee, the Assistant Director of Academic Affairs, Dr. Ed Darby. Welcome to the program, Ed.
Thank you, Bill.
And one of his associates, Mr. Don Wills, who is an instructor in drafting technology. One of the reasons Don is with us today is because we've got some newfangled equipment here. I think a mini computer, and I've been hearing about a microprocessor, and Don is an expert in all of this, and we're glad to have him in the studio, and we're going to learn about that and a lot else. First, I'd like to know more about the Oklahoma State University School of Technical Training at Okmulgee. I know your short name is Oklahoma State Tech. As I understand it, you are an integral part of Oklahoma State University. How does that work, Ed?
Bill, we're delighted to have the opportunity. Oklahoma State Tech is the state's only post-secondary vocational technical residential institution with the singular mission of providing education for those kinds of technicians and skilled craftsmen that's needed not only in our state but throughout the nation today. Our campus represents approximately 44 different programs of study that are attended on an average of about 2,800 students.
All right, you're located in the beautiful little city of Okmulgee. I visited there because one of our regents at the University of Oklahoma, Mr. K.D. Bailey, is a leading citizen out at Okmulgee, and that's a wonderful place, a little south of Tulsa. But when you say the only post-secondary, it's a long thing to be saying. What you're saying is, if I hear you, that there may be other programs, say at the high school level, in this field, but that you're unique in the state of Oklahoma for those who are enrolled at a collegiate level. Is that right?
That's correct, Bill. We're being perhaps quite precise in this, but again I would emphasize the singular mission. Certainly many of our friends and peers in the junior colleges, community colleges, do provide technical education programs. However, our emphasis is solely upon this to produce the kinds of technicians through very intensive programs averaging 6 hours per day, 5 days per week, because we are mandated by industry that these graduates will in effect hit the ground running. There's little lead time.
All right, now Don, you're a member of the faculty there in drafting instructing. Where did you do your training?
Well, I came to Tech from industry. Prior to that, I graduated at Kansas State College at Pittsburgh.
And how many members of the faculty are there?
In the drafting department, we have 8 full-time faculty.
What about in the
members.
entire institution?
I believe there's about 250.
We have some 169 down faculty, staff and faculty, nearly 400.
And all technical work, no liberal arts, you don't teach religion or history or philosophy, technical and vocational work. Is it fair to use the term vocational?
Oh yes, very appropriate.
I think a lot of people in the state of Oklahoma are excited about the fact that you're training people for jobs. I think, you know, there may be a limit to the number of philosophers that any society can subsidize, and ours may have reached that limit. I think it's an interesting thing that the young people you're training can exchange their diplomas for employment. Now tell us about the kinds of programs in addition to drafting and computer technology that are going on at Tech.
Okay, this is a very broad range of programs. Certainly our logo, represented by the hand and mind, emphasizes the importance of the, if you will, the psychomotor skills, the cognitive, and certainly the affective domain. So we would range in programs from the food trades, shoe boot and saddle, furniture upholstery, which involves highly skilled craftsmen, and then sweeping across to the more technical skills, such as the program that Don Wills is in the drafting and design, electronics, business data processing, diesel and automotive, air conditioning and refrigeration. That's only a sample of these several different programs.
You've got leather work and boot making, and I see your boots there, Ed. Hope we can.
Fine.
Let's take a look at those boots.
Right.
What leather is that?
That's anaconda. That's
what?
Anaconda, snake, if you will, out of the Amazon.
Yeah, I didn't know the fancy word for snake. And where did you find that snake?
Well, I'm told it comes out of the Amazon River. Now, I take them for their word. And
you're teaching young people this trade at Tech.
Yes, and again, I think this really exemplifies the kinds of skilled craftsmen, because it takes a very particular skill and motivation for the person that can bring together a pair of boots here that I would suppose on the market must represent $180 to $200 in value.
Are you very conscious of the job market so that you're certain that you're in those fields of instruction, that a young person can go into boot making? And do people in the state of Oklahoma need boot makers?
We surely are. I think, again, I would say because we do not have the transfer function, we must be very, very sure that when our graduates...
What do you mean by the transfer function?
Well, our people do not, if you will, enroll at Oklahoma State Tech to take the first 2 years preparatory towards a baccalaureate degree or whatever. They come there job-oriented, with a very definite mission in mind, and at the end of that period of time, be it 2, 3, or 6 trimesters in length, then we must be very carefully tuned that there are plenty of jobs, job opportunities. So we are very much dependent upon the industrial advisory committees. These are very critical to Oklahoma State.
Throughout the state, you mean?
Throughout the state, throughout the region.
Good.
Well,
I tell you, as the president of the University of Oklahoma, I am excited by what you're doing at Oklahoma State Tech, and about the fact that it's practical and down to earth, and providing a lot of people with some useful employment. Now, we're not here today to talk about boot making so much as computer technology. You're doing a lot of exciting work there. Don, you're a draftsman. Tell us about what's happening in computer-assisted drafting.
Okay, the newest venture in industry seems to be going towards the computer-aided drafting because of the need for technicians. We haven't had enough technicians to produce the work that's needed by industry, so industry has had to rely on the computers. And we have with us today a microprocessor-based computer, sometimes called a mini computer, that operates on a very simple language. It's called the BASIC language.
Yep. And I'm going to interrupt you every time I don't understand something, because I don't know what you mean by a microprocessor. I suppose micro means tiny or small.
Right. It's, when we first started with computers, we had the vacuum tubes, and the computer occupied a large room, some of them even full buildings. Then we went to transistors. They became smaller and went to a room. We used to teach computer graphics, and we had a whole semi-trailer load of equipment. Then with the space-age technologies, they've developed the ability to integrate all these circuits onto a small chip similar to what we find in many radios and our TVs today.
Tiny things.
Tiny things.
I understand you can sometimes store volumes in a library in one little tiny speck. Now, is this a computer?
This is a computer. It meets all the qualifications as a computer. It has ability to make decisions, do looping routines. In fact, I could show another program here.
Yeah, show us how it works.
Try to decide the easiest way to get to it. I think this might be, since we're kind of limited on space.
What are you doing there now?
I'm calling up another program, and I'm doing it by going back to a menu, and I will just select an item off the menu here.
Now, you're talking about a menu like going into a restaurant? Or?
Right. You just select from the menu the program.
Where is this menu stored?
It's stored on the magnetic tape.
Okay.
And each program is stored on tape.
And what are you trying to find out now with this particular run that you're making?
I just want to demonstrate here a small program that has a large output, and I've put this in previously so I know what's going to come up. But here we have we can have a large output, and there's just about maybe 15 commands in this total program to produce a output. This happens to be a hydraulic problem, and we have a solution for the amount of force that's put out by a certain supply pressure. We can look at another program, perhaps here. Let's see, I need to, okay. This will be on the screen, and it's an electrical schematic. It was programmed by one of our students in the computer-aided drafting course, and it shows some of the different applications that this might have.
So if I'm an automobile mechanic and trying to find out something about hydraulic pressures, there is stored somewhere a data bank that gives information on a wide variety of machinery, and I can use this computer to find out about the hydraulic pressure of the machine I'm working on.
Actually, the program that I've shown doesn't rely on a data bank. It creates its data as it goes. It makes the calculations.
At Oklahoma State Tech, are you primarily training computer users, computer programmers, or are you training technicians who would work on an automobile and use this as an instrument? Are you training computer programmers?
The business data processing bill would be certainly one where we're concerned with developing this this programmer. In general, however, our emphasis here is the coordination or the utilization of the technician and the computer. In fact, we have at Oklahoma State Tech several other applications, and this only exemplifies one of those dimensions. We have the computer diagnostic systems, and perhaps we could show some slides on some other applications.
We want to see those, but first we want to take a little break here. Part of our habit on Candid Campus is to feature each week one of the institutions in the state of Oklahoma, and today we've got a special feature on the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma at Chickasha. We'll be right back after that.
The University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma in Chickasha is an academic community which emphasizes combined liberal arts learning and career preparation in order to promote the personal and professional development of each individual student. Through USAO's interdisciplinary studies, courses taught by teams of professors, program flexibility, creative faculty, and ideal size, the university provides the opportunity for highly personalized, relevant learning experiences. Founded in 1908, USAO has maintained the pioneering instincts of the state in looking for new and exciting ways to facilitate educational growth and development. The university is accredited by the North Central Association of Colleges and Secondary Schools and has been granted accreditation by national associations for various professional programs. USAO offers accelerated career training through its unique trimester calendar of year-round classes. 3 15-week trimesters make it possible for students to complete requirements for graduation in 3 years or less. In addition, a 5-week independent study period each spring makes available to the students some very special educational opportunities. Students design and implement their very own program of study for 5 hours of credit during this period. Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degrees are awarded upon successful completion of the selected programs of study at USAO. Students may select from 27 popular career choices and a number of pre-professional programs of study. USAO's faculty of distinguished teaching professionals have been educated at many of the nation's most prestigious institutions. Over 50% hold a doctorate degree, and all have extensive training in their areas of specialization. USAO's liberal arts program and career preparation through serving board objectives permits adaptability to changing situations. Therefore, education at USAO, by its nature and purpose, becomes a practical process of personalized growth and development. The University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma is a university of enrichment and direction for life.
Hello, I'm Bill Benoski again, president of the University of Oklahoma, and on Candid Campus we are visiting today the Oklahoma State University School of Technical Training at Okmulgee. We've got with us Dr. Ed Darby and Mr. Don Wills. We're taking a look at what actually is a mini computer or a microprocessor, and we teach draftsmen with this. Mr. Wills, tell us how a young draftsman student uses this machine now.
Okay, we develop in our course the ability of the student to write small routines in order to have a graphical output. They can have this output either on our screen or, as we see now, on this digital plotter. The program that's being drawn was done by a student. I think we'll be able to see a little more here in a second what it's going to look like, but it is a drafting type or orthographic type problem. I believe this is of a simple machine part.
And this is used by a student in a classroom in machine auto mechanics, let's say?
Okay, this, what we're looking at here is really part of a drafting course. It's a 15-week course, and we teach the student the basics of computer-aided drafting or interactive digital
So he's programmed this in ahead of time?
Yes.
And rather than having to sit there by hand and manually do this kind of work, he programs it into a computer?
Yes, that's correct. We save time by doing this, although our students, when they're learning, don't believe me. But it is much quicker to do repetitive processes on the computer than it is to do them manually. We try to free the technician for more creative time.
What is this technician, what's this program showing us? Is this building a house or repairing a car, or what's it doing?
This program is just showing the information necessary to a machinist in order to make a part that is a part of another system.
And now he has that. Could you use that same thing in architecture to draft plans for a building?
Yes, we certainly could.
Why don't you proceed with other programs?
All right, I'd like to show another one.
Bill, while we're doing this, if I might, I think the point needs to be emphasized that this certainly is not going to replace or supplant the draftsman. On the contrary, this is simply going to allow more time for that person to really apply the real expertise and reduce the amount of redundancy here of simply drawing lines and numerals and etc.
But now the draftsman not only has to know the skill of drafting, he's got to know something about computer programming as well.
That's correct.
What is the ultimate aim of your computer-assisted drafting course?
Well, again, the ultimate aim, of course, is to serve the present and ongoing needs of the business and industry. Through this process, we feel that our graduate, in going out the next day after graduation, will be able to relate to, understand, and work certainly more efficiently in those early days with that engineer and design person, and be able to carry out these missions as assigned to him or her.
What can the student expect to learn in the computer-assisted drafting course?
Don, I think you're probably the expert there as the instructor.
Okay, our main objective is to overcome the student's fear of using this type of equipment. Industry's indicated to us that this is one of their problems, is the graduate comes in unfamiliar with equipment, and it takes several months sometimes to overcome their hesitancy to get onto the machine. We now have a student, when he's employed, he is not afraid of the computer. He can manipulate it. He understands some of its limitations. He knows what it will do. He's able to make the machine perform for him and for the company right away.
Are there jobs for draftsmen who are able to use computers?
Yes, we've placed several draftsmen in some of the petrochemical related industries, some of the electronics firms.
Yeah, if you go to a petrochemical related firm, will they have the equipment that will enable your trained draftsman to use a computer assisted technology?
Yes.
They all have the computer.
Not all of them. I think they're moving in this direction. I think we'll see more and more of them have it.
So if I want to be a draftsman, a young draftsman in today's world, I will be disadvantaged no matter what a fine draftsman I am if I don't also know something about how to program a computer. Is that what you're saying?
We certainly believe this, and again, as Don points out, not all industry has this, but our advisory committee has given us the signals that this is the future.
What other programs do you have at Oklahoma State Tech, the changes in curriculum that relate to technological developments?
No, I think we have several, and I believe we have some slides, if we might provide those, that shows...
Yeah, I'd like to see other opportunities for microprocessing.
Don, do you want to comment on this particular...
What's this young man doing, Don?
I believe this is in the electronics area. This is
Right.
not our...
This is a microprocessor, again in electronics, which has a wide and variable. Our mission here is not so much the application, but as to the understanding of the microprocessor, whereby these technicians will be able to service and etc. Slide we have right here is a example of a solar energy system that's in our air conditioning refrigeration program, used primarily for domestic hot water purposes. And microprocessors are going to play a vital role in monitoring these systems and making the decisions on what function that they will have. Here's a very interesting application to show advanced cutting edge of technology, a diagnostic computer in the automotive area. The automobile is brought in and we get a computer printout. Even in the secretarial science, word processing now. The microprocessor is here, and we're able to certainly expedite the communication of industry and business through our competent secretarial science people.
What we're seeing now is a contour plot displayed on the screen of our mini computer, and to operate this, our drafting technician, rather than manually plotting points using T-squares, triangles, and scales, he simply enters the surveyor's original data into the keyboard, and the plot is produced here on the screen.
What would he do with that kind of plot? It looks like a rat maze.
Okay, this shows the elevations for various plats of land. They would know what dirt they were going to have to move, how much they were going to have to bring in.
You mean this is a topographical?
Right, this is a
plot
topographical.
That's right. Also done with the computer.
Right. We can, if the draftsman's satisfied with this display, we would be able to make the drawing on the plotter and have an original copy. Okay, if you'd like to go back to the slides.
Ed, how many years have you been at the Oklahoma State University School of Technical Training?
Bill, I've been there now some nearly 3 years. However, prior to that time, I guess I bleed orange. I spent some nearly 18 years on our main campus in the School of Technology and was the associate director here upon transferring to Oklahoma State Tech.
What are the differences you see in being at a comprehensive university on the campus at OSU and then being at the campus in Okmulgee? What are the principal differences?
Well, the real difference, of course, is I'm much closer to the total student life, which is a very viable part of our institution. Our student activities, we are a residential institution. We have accommodations for some 1,700 students. So I think I'm closer to the total.
You have 1,700 students in your residential program?
In residence on the campus,
yes.
Some average of 2,800 students enrolled.
Living in the area.
And incidentally, I should mention that ours is not the typical academic year. We're on a trimester system. We operate 12 months out of the year, and the student, if he or she desires, may come in at 3 times during the year and continue straight through and complete a program.
Don, what have you been finding here in this computer?
Okay, this is a program demonstrating the graphic capability of the machine. And when we refer to this type of graphics, it's business data graphics. This happens to be a bar chart showing the number of opportunities for employment for graduates. It can be displayed on the screen, or a more complete display can be drawn out on the plotter.
Yeah, let's watch this thing at work here.
It's quite interesting
So
to
is
watch.
this showing by years?
This is showing by trimesters the number of opportunities for employment for each of our drafting graduates.
And some of your students think that it takes them longer to do it this way than it would if they just did it by hand.
Not on this program. Those that have had to construct graphs realize the amount of work involved in plotting. Again, all we do is enter the raw data. The machine determines the scale, the height, the placement of the lettering, the size of the lettering, the location of the lettering, from the data that the technician inputs to it.
If the machine can do all that, Don, why do we need a teacher?
Good question. You need a teacher to tell the machine what to do and then to tell the students or to teach the students.
Yeah, I sometimes think we're almost working, you know, for these machines. And I believe a lot of people have a resistance, a psychological resistance to these computers. Not only students, but people in the average population.
No, they're only a tool. They do what we ask them to if we ask them to do it properly.
Now let's get a shot at this. We're seeing job opportunities, draft, graduates, right?
Right. We ran out of room.
So if you want to get a job in drafting, anybody watching, why, there are the opportunities for it. Let's talk now in the time we've got left about whether you see a growing field in this kind of work, Ed, for young people in your school.
Bill, it almost seems as if that certainly I'm dramatizing or overstating, but very honestly and very candidly, we just see continuing expanding opportunities at Oklahoma State Tech in these programs.
Is Oklahoma State Tech growing? I mean, the population up?
Frankly, has not had considerable growth. We're pretty well stayed on the plateau for the last couple of years. We think it's a matter of us making these opportunities known as we're given the opportunity here on Candid campus.
Well, I think it's great. I also like your trimester program, in the sense that you're using those facilities year-round.
Yes,
I think
sir.
the old semester that we're all on in the state of Oklahoma is in some ways a little outmoded, because during the summertime it's difficult to use those facilities fully. And I wish to congratulate you for that trimester program.
Well, we certainly think it's
You find your
cost-efficient.
enrollment holds up each of those 3 terms?
Well, of course, it's down in the summer to some extent. That's a lower enrollment period, but we still maintain a very adequate enrollment of some 12 to 1,600 students in the summer trimester.
We'd like to express our appreciation today to Oklahoma State Tech and to these 2 gentlemen, Dr. Ed Darby and Mr. Don Wills, who've come with all of this computer equipment, and to encourage us and young people that we may know to consider this wonderful school at Okmulgee as an opportunity for training in professional and vocational work. If you have questions that you would like to address to Candid Campus or suggestions, you may use the following address for that purpose. Our next Candid Campus program will be at Panhandle State University, way out in the western corner of our state. Our moderator on that excursion to the far northwest will be Mr. Carter Bradley of the Higher Education Council of the state of Oklahoma. We appreciate having you with us today. Next time you're in Okmulgee, drop by and see the wonderful institution there, Oklahoma State Tech. Thank you so much.
Candid Campus is presented under joint sponsorship by the Higher Education Alumni Council of Oklahoma and the Oklahoma College Public Relations Association. This is the Oklahoma State University Educational Television Services.